Welcome to the Third Wheel Podcast. I'm Caleb.
I'm Shops.
Happy April Fools, everybody.
We should have switched our names.
I know, right?
Dang it.
Now it's been a long time recording, or a long time since we last recorded due to scheduling stuff. Shaps is really busy during Easter. That's his busiest time. So, but I'm glad we got that all sorted out. We're back in the studio, and then of course, I think Darcy's going to be out for a while, so I might have to do a couple of replacement hosts till she gets back. Got the new schedule
There ain't
working.
no replacing Darcy.
I know it's going to be a tough void to fill, but I think I can carry and shoulder that burden myself. So, Shaps, you had a good topic for us today, getting us started.
Yeah. So
getting the
speaking
wheel
of
turning.
April Fool's Days, have you kept up with Smiling Friends at all?
Absolutely.
Okay, gotcha. Good. So, for those who don't know, Smiling Friends is a terrific animation TV show on Adult Swim. It came out, I think, last year or the year before that, late last year. I forget exactly when it came out, but very successful, blew up overnight, internet sensation. Go check it out if you haven't. Essentially, everyone's been waiting for season 2, and they were teasing season 2 to drop right after Easter, but I even forgot it was going to be April Fool's Day the next day. And instead of season 2, we got 3 episodes, full episodes of season 1, but in puppet show form.
So it was only 3 episodes?
Only 3 episodes.
Okay.
But like the entire thing was redone in puppet form. And again, it's free. Just watch it on YouTube. Like,
it's
legitimately,
great.
just like it's out there, and it's like just that much more enjoyable to watch. Like legitimately, it's one of the better April Fool's jokes. I always like the ones where like it's not just a joke, but it's also entertaining. You know, you get something out of it. So like, good props to them. But it kind of was like, what have been some like really good like April Fool's jokes in the past? You know, and I looked up a couple good ones right here.
Well, real quick, so season 2 is coming out in May, right? That part wasn't part of the joke.
Yes, it's
okay, cool.
about, I think it's middle of May or something like that.
I was gonna
so
say.
it is coming out very soon. But yeah, they also released the first episode like the night of, and then they took it off.
Yeah,
but some people were able to capture that. So really good episode. Can't wait to see what happens.
Yeah, no, I'm so stoked. I mean, I get why they only did 3 because it's so hard to just do puppets.
That must have been like it looked professional.
It
like
very much so
it may
did.
have actually been Jim Henson Productions.
Yeah.
That did that because like it actually looked like a lot of money went towards it.
Yeah.
You know, like as much as it April Fool's
Absolutely.
joke could, but like seriously, like that's what I'm talking about. Like people who actually put effort in their pranks instead of just being like a rickroll.
Yeah.
So they could have very easily done that and would just piss people off. But
See, I've never successfully pulled a prank off. Like, I'm not talking about the stupid prank channels that you see. I'm talking like senior pranks.
Yeah.
Like, I think my class, it was a small school. I think my class was so apathetic they didn't even bother.
yeah,
And then there was one year, I think it was the year before our class, they decided to park their cars behind faculty and staff so they couldn't get out.
oh,
And they're like, aha, that's funny, it's funny. And then some of the staff didn't think it was funny, so then they all got in trouble. So, I mean, I don't know. It's hard. You got to kind of know your audience. And, like, if someone's a spoil sport, you can't really do it.
I have problems pranking only because like I go very elaborate with it, and either I go way too far,
Right.
or it's like not far enough, if that makes sense. Like I recently just pranked a bunch of coworkers where like me and another coworker went to someone's office, and we were like, okay, we're not gonna be mean about it. We're just going to move a bunch of things around and see if they notice.
Yeah.
And hang up stuff, you know, and make it look nice. And we actually cleaned up, you know, it was a nice thing, but we also like pranked because we moved stuff around.
Yeah.
I did a bunch of other like elaborate things. Well, someone snitched to the guy we pranked,
Oh.
and then he like freaked out and called me. He was like, "What'd you do to my office?" You know, what'd you do? I was like, "You have to find out." But he got so angry and so paranoid that I actually just had to tell him. I was like, I couldn't even like let it last because I was like, I think it was too good. I got too close to the sun, you know.
Yeah.
But,
That's so terrible. Like, what the
Honestly.
heck's up with these people?
honestly,
You know,
I'm
ruining
just
it.
like, well, first of all, snitches, you can just go shove it. Okay,
Yeah, for real.
no
The heck?
snitching. But also, just like, hey, if a friend's gonna prank you and he doesn't have a history of like really, you know, like doing you dirty, like just trust him. You know, like he knows you well, she knows you well. You know, like just let it happen. It's for fun. It's fun.
Yeah. Well, that's a darn shame. Let me see. Feel like there was something else prank wise where I was like, man, I don't know. Any type of prank that has to do with like getting somebody dirty, you know, like getting sprayed with something, like, oh, it's just you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I'm not a good sport for that type of stuff.
So do you know back in the age of like prank YouTubers?
Yeah.
Did you have any like favorites, or did you always just think they were annoying?
I always thought they were annoying.
Yeah.
And I always knew that they were fake. So you got someone like Joey Salads who, for a while, do you remember this? They would call it social experiments.
Yep.
It wasn't a prank.
That's how they got away with crimes.
Because they were too good to be pranksters. You know what I mean? This is a social experiment. And then they're always fake every single time. Even the what's that dude's name? Soflo Antonio, who'd go around asking people weird questions. Like, those are fake too. Like, you know.
Except for that one guy recently who got like shot over it.
Is that the guy that was chasing people in the grocery store?
Yeah.
I know you're talking about. Or maybe it was the airport.
It was a mall, but like it was the second time getting
Yeah.
shot because of this, I think.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
So he didn't learn his lesson the first time?
No, he was, and literally like in the emergency room, he was like, I just can't wait to go back and do it again.
What a
like legitimately.
Does he not know how many vital organs that he keeps luckily dodging?
But like, oh my gosh, that's just like the worst kind of person. But just like, it's not pranks.
Yeah.
You're just literally like a sadist.
Well, because they keep arresting the person that's defending themselves.
Exactly. Legitimately, this guy will like go up
Yeah.
and just start poking people or just like antagonizing
Yeah.
people. And like, hey, I'm pretty sure the guy last he antagonized was like a war vet. So it's
Right.
like,
Yeah, that's horrible.
it's really terrible.
Well, let's get on to some good pranks then. I want to see what you
So I
got.
took a couple from the internet. These are older, but in 1965, this one's labeled smell-o-vision.
Mm.
Do you know what smell-o-vision is?
Mm-mm.
So right around the time that like I want to say television kind of started up, in the 50s, there was an idea to implement smell-o-vision in like movie theaters, where when you're watching something and there's a particular smell that they want to display, they would pump the vents essentially full of like the scent.
That's cool.
Right. The problem was that essentially the scents would stack on top of each other.
Oh no!
And they would always smell like garbage. And then like the next people who would watch the movie would catching all these weird scents. So it failed pretty quickly. But it was a neat idea.
Yeah, they tried.
Immersion, right? So anyway, as a prank, April 1st, 1965, the BBC conducted a trial of new technology allowing to transmission of odor over the airwaves, so all viewers, like on their television sets.
Oh no!
Many viewers reportedly contacted the BBC to report the trial's success. And it wasn't until 2007 that the website reported an online version of the hoax. So, yeah, people are gullible. In 2007 or 1965, just super gullible.
That's pretty good, actually.
It's definitely a good amount of gaslighting.
Yeah.
And then in 1905, the German newspaper Berliner Tageblatt reported in 1905 that thieves had tunneled beneath the U.S. federal treasury and stolen all of its silver and gold.
Everyone's like mass panicking.
They're just, oh my gosh, not the gold and silver.
Did you see that unrelated that there was that big heist over
I did.
Where was that at again?
It's California, I think.
Oh really? Oh man, they're just getting bombed all the way around.
I'm pretty sure it was California.
Yeah. No, they made off with like $50 million. And the police were like baffled, like, I don't know how they did this.
Yeah, apparently it was like a very secure location. It wasn't a bank. It was a money holding facility where they were transferring money from security firm to banks essentially. And it was like in a vault, and they literally like GTA style drilled into the vault and the cameras didn't pick it up because apparently the vault, I just saw a video about it. You probably did too. The particular vault on the door, it can detect like literally like any tremors. Like if you hit it with a sledgehammer, it will like set off an alarm. Or if you puncture it just a little bit with a drill or anything like that, it will set off an alarm.
Yeah.
Somehow they managed to not trip any alarms, not to get seen by the cameras, and just make off with all the money. It's like
they had it super planned out.
Oh yeah, you don't think that kind of stuff can happen nowadays, and usually it doesn't. But
right, no, and that's probably why security was probably really lax at those types of places. People are not paying attention. They're not watching the cameras. They're sleeping on the job. They just think like nothing's gonna happen. Everything's so secure.
Right.
There is a bank heist documentary I had to watch in college, and it was like there was this door. It was the only door that could get to the money.
Yeah.
And what they had a really good alarm system that one of the sensors was on the door and the other sensor was on the door frame. So if anyone opened the door without permission or without the code or whatever, it would set that alarm off, and the police would be there like like real fast. Well, these people came in, and the other thing was you couldn't just open the door with the alarm. You had to have the key. The key they put in a glass container next to the door. So And so what they did was they took the alarm, they disabled it, but even if you disable it, it'll set it off. Wow. So they unscrewed it and took it apart, but they taped the two bars together that weren't supposed to be separated without permission. So they took that, dislocated it, taped the two sensors together, and then stuck it on the wall next to it. Then they broke the glass and took the key and opened the door. And then, so the documentary was asking the bank owner, he's like, so why'd you put the key next to the door?
Yeah.
He was like, what was the thinking there? And the guy was like, well, the alarm system was so good that we thought they would, we thought nobody could get through it.
Wow.
And get the key, So
dang, you think it's gonna be something super psychological?
Right?
No.
And there was more to it. Like the professor I had at the time was like, "This is my favorite video ever." Was because it was just like it was such a good heist that they got away with it essentially. So it was really good.
Yeah, I mean nowadays like it's just. No, I mean, like, it's kind of a weird thing to say it's boring, but it's, like, kind of boring now because, like, like, banks are either so sophisticated or they're all digital. Like, there are some banks right now that are cashless banks. Yeah. So, legitimately, like, it just doesn't happen anymore. Right. And, like, like I was saying, security is just so high-end and, like, cops will be on you in 5 seconds. The fingerprinting, like, forensics, like, everything, will link you back, like, immediately. Like, there's just no way to get away with it anymore, except, apparently... away from the banks. Yeah. So yeah, you don't think cash heists are a thing anymore, but no, there we go.
But yeah, no, it is.
Do you think they're gonna be caught?
That's going to depend on if they start selling the money. First, they got to find. I mean, there are ways to do it, right. But they got to find a way to basically deposit the money somewhere, shade it. They can do it. Right, but it's going to be like, and if they start spending, like there are people on it. There are some very good people that this is what they do, and they have ways of finding it. So once people start depositing large amounts of cash, it's going to set an alarm off. I had to deposit a decent chunk of change the other day because I went to the casino and actually won a lot by accident. Yeah, obviously, like anytime you go to casino, it's by accident. But like I felt so weird going into the bank and being like, okay, like I have to deposit this amount of money. I'm waiting on them to be like, where'd you get this? Like, you know what I mean? Because if you win, I didn't win enough to where they're like, okay, now that we're going to take like taxes or whatever off of it, but it was still a decent chunk. Yeah. Right. So I had to deposit and I was waiting on them to like start giving me the evil eye. Where'd you steal this?
They bring it back. Come with me, sir.
Yeah, absolutely. It worked out because I had to open a Discount Tires credit card because all my tires decided to be bad at the same time.
Nice.
So yeah, it was perfect. So I got the card. I got the discount at the tire store. Replaced all 4 tires and it didn't cost me a penny. Because the casino took care of me. It's weird. You've been to the casino, right?
Yeah, I'm actually going back to Vegas in a week.
I'm so jealous.
I know.
Oh, man, you should have invited me. I would have gone.
Yeah.
Next time, take me with you. I want to go.
National Broadcast Association. Yeah, that's right up your alley. Yeah.
Was that all the April Fool's stuff you had?
Yeah, honestly, because most of it usually sucks.
Back to Smiling Friends just a little bit. Like, I wish they didn't pick Mr. Frog to turn into a puppet episode.
Why?
It's my least favorite.
That's like the most one of the most famous episodes.
Well, maybe. I guess whatever works for them if they're trying to get the word. I hate that episode, dude.
That's a great one.
I don't think it's that funny. I don't like it. Really? I don't like Mr. Frog. He's such an unbearable a-hole.
I love. Are you kidding? Oh, okay, it's interesting. I love when he goes on like the Jimmy Fallon show. I'm just like.
It's like definitely not Jimmy Fallon.
Exactly.
Yeah,
that's interesting. I actually like the Brazil episode. A lot of people didn't.
Oh, I love the Brazil.
A lot of people like didn't get it, but that's the thing. But like, it's actually fantastic. I watched that probably more than the other ones, but yeah.
I think because they really expected them to get like a big hijinks adventure in Brazil, but it's like they didn't even leave the airport.
Yeah, it was just super real.
Yeah,
I like that humor.
And at the end, when they conclude, like, we should just go home, like, and then we'll come back later and prepare back. That's real.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Everything about that, like you can tell they've been through that experience once or twice.
Yeah. Or one is all it takes. You don't need to do it more than once.
Everyone's been part of that stuff, and it's so horrible. Like everything they go through, it's like the realization, then the denial, then the bargaining, like calling people they know, just like in desperation, like I'm just like,
and
that's so genius.
I love the guy that's offering, are you guys tourists? Like, do you have cash? And like, no, bro, get out of my face.
Okay,
sir, can you go away?
Have a good time.
I do that. I do that when everyone comes up and they just want, and they were like, man, that guy was going to take our organs or whatever. Like, not necessarily, but they definitely want to find a way to scam me out of your money, like for sure. So
and then like when they're all arguing at the restaurant, the waitress is like, okay, I just interrupts them. Like, it's so, the tension is just so high.
So like you go into a restaurant, but you don't plan on ordering anything. So like, we'll just take like 4 waters, and I guess I'll take a little bit of fries. And she's there with her big clipboard, and they don't order anything really.
Oh, it's
just
so
a big
good.
waste of time. Like it's great, and it doesn't help the little poster that they did for that episode made it look like it was something different.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's why whenever people have their expectations not met, and that happened to a lot of stuff without getting into stuff like The Last Jedi and stuff, like people just have their expectations that they're projecting onto something, and there's a lot of hype, and then it doesn't live up to it.
Right.
I want to do discussion at some point. I don't know if I'll get time to do it today, but I want to talk about Rick and Morty and how it's kind of fallen off. You know?
Really?
Yeah.
You think so?
I did until I watched the newest season.
I think the last season was actually pretty good.
No, I do. But I think we should get to that eventually, because I think each season has its own like amount of opinion. You know what I mean? Where it's like, okay, I had to go season by season and be like, good, bad, good, you know, something like that. Yeah. So
no, definitely.
I was fully prepared with the new season to go in and be like, this is awful. But then I was like,
but then it came out that like apparently Justin Roiland didn't have as much to do with the writing as like everyone
at all.
thought he did. Yeah, exactly.
At all.
Like barely showing up to work and stuff.
Yeah.
So it's like, oh, okay, so the writing's not actually going to suffer.
Right.
It's just the voices, but once you get over the voice, it's.
I almost didn't notice.
Yeah.
To be honest with you.
I noticed with. I think I noticed with Rick, not so much with Morty.
Yeah.
Everyone thought they were going to pick those YouTubers or TikTokers, whoever they were.
Right.
But I'm like, I think they're going to get actual actors to do that. So
exactly. The other thing too is like, I'm glad they didn't just go with AI.
Yeah.
Because like we need voice, because that's where we're heading, and it sucks. Yeah. It sucks that people are going to be out of jobs here pretty soon.
Right.
Because they're going to take the free route, because it's not just cheaper, it's free essentially. You get the free software that'll do voice AI. And it's over with. Like people are generating videos like from Voice Critical,
right?
You know, and obviously those aren't like gonna work long term. It's a funny gimmick, but like they're making full on videos, and the AI is writing the dialogue and voicing him, where he's sitting there like, you know, and it sounds like something he would do.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. So very unethical when put into practice, but that's kind of where we're heading. Yeah. Even if generations now of executives are like, no, we're always going to use voice actors, 3 or 4 more generations of executives at these big companies down the line, they are definitely going to go for AI.
I don't think it's actually going to deter actors as much, because here's the thing, like imagine an actor charging for their likeness rather than for their talent. Now they won't make as much money probably, but like if Adult Swim wants to be like, hey, like this much money, you know, like 100,000, you know, if we just can use your likeness forever. It's like, yeah, sure, why not? Yeah, I don't want to do that voice anymore, you know. Like,
look at now we don't know the whole story on this, but with Mortal Kombat 1, they're getting ready to add Homelander to it. Have you seen the guest characters?
The DLC characters, yeah.
So I've been playing Peacemaker like nonstop. Yeah, so much fun. I unlocked all his moves, his second fatality. But with Homelander, it's not Anthony Starr voicing it, but they're using his likeness. So whenever anyone asks him about it, like I saw him on stage once at some kind of Galaxy Con or something like that. It's not that one, but they asked him like, hey, how come you're not going to be Homelander in the thing? And he just got all butthurt, and he's like, you know what? Why don't you go play Call of Duty? That's actually me in Call of Duty. Just go play that instead. And then he just like moved on. I was like,
is he actually Homelander in real life?
No, he is. Like, yeah. He's like, that's me in Call of Duty. Go do that instead. And then they just moved on. Like, he got butthurt. And then someone asked him on Twitter, like, hey, I'm sorry, X, formerly known as Twitter.
Right.
But they got on to, they asked him, like, hey, is there any chance you can change your mind and hop on there? He's like, no, ship sailed on that, hombre, something like that. But now, at face value, yeah, he's like a jerk and he's being butthurt. Right. But at the same time, you think how when you don't agree to take a role, but the executives say, well, we're just going to use you anyway, and they're not going to use his voice, but they're keeping his face.
Well, and
he's not getting paid for it.
Well, I mean,
and I can see why that would piss someone off.
Well, I mean, I don't think that's really how it would go, right? They would either have to pay the studio or him for his likeness. So if they're going to use his face, they're going to have to pay him. So they must have paid him something.
Right, but what I'm assuming is they didn't pay him what he wanted.
Oh, sure, probably. But, like, he still took the deal, so...
Right.
I mean, he could just.
But I can understand why he's being butthurt about it. Now he's not as good of a sport as like John Cena, who's like, yeah, I'll be Peacemaker, I'll voice it, I'll do the likeness, just let's do that. Like he's fun and he doesn't mind taking a pay cut for that type of stuff.
Sure.
But someone like Anthony Starr, who's the face of a major TV series and stuff like that, when you say no to a part or you accept a lesser offer, but it's not even you voicing it, but they're still going to use you anyway, like
insulted by.
I understand why that's insulting. I get that. So like at face value, yeah, he's being a jerk and he responds bad to questions, but at the same time, I'm like, actually though, I understand why that might piss you off. I don't know the story. Maybe that's not it. Maybe it's something totally maybe it's not money related at all. But I'm assuming it is if he's going to do other voice roles for like Call of Duty and stuff. So
do you think they could have gotten away with Omni-Man if it wasn't J.K. Simmons?
Yeah, but it does make me happy when they use the actual voice actor.
Sure.
I love it that they're actually doing like people, when it is J.K. Simmons.
Mm-hmm.
Did you finish Invincible yet?
I watched the first 2 episodes of the second part of season 2.
Oh, okay.
Hate out to say that, so I'm not like at the end yet, but I'm close to that.
I thought about doing a review for Invincible season 2, but I don't have as much time, and they're kind of burning me out. So we'll see. 1 second, I might have to sneeze. Ooh.
That's terrible.
Sorry, allergies are just killing me. It's like you get the big, here it comes, and it just never shows up.
It's like, nah, I like it in here.
Yeah. So, guys, if you noticed this episode, we're doing this new animation, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, look at me all the way over here.
I know, right? And then, this way, Shaps gets to keep his mysticism.
That's right.
And I also get to look good on camera.
Yeah.
But it's not actually us.
I will say the nose is up to scale.
Yeah.
I mean, like, I tried to debate it, but the animator, Jabtoons, he was just like, no, the nose has to be perfect. The nose has to be. So
yeah.
It's to scale. It's to scale.
I don't care what the rest of me looks like.
What are you drinking over there?
Yeah. I'm drinking this big pot of steam. Yeah, it's quite tasty. Do you ever watch the Jungle Book TV series?
No.
There was a little TV series. It only came on at 4 a.m. on Disney. Toon Disney.
Like a Disney.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. And there was one where Blue, for some reason, ended up in some kind of concentration camp. And
is this the April Fool's joke?
No. He ends up in like a prison, and he's watching all the upper staff members eat, and then his bowl is just a big bowl of steam, and he's like, well, okay, let me just go ask for some food. And he goes up, can I have some more? He's like, you want more steam? And then he just blows more steam in there. He's like, so it was weird.
That is so random.
Yeah, it was. I say there's a reason it didn't do well, and it started showing at 4 a.m.
I know there was like a Tarzan one.
Yeah. A bunch of shows had
like
that.
Almost
cartoon.
Every movie had. Almost all of those movies had like a TV show. I didn't know they made a
Emperor's New School.
Oh my gosh!
You know what I mean? Like all those shows.
They made Timon and Pumbaa one.
Yeah.
That was actually pretty good.
Yeah. Like all those movies had like a weird spin-off series,
right.
and they weren't all bad. You know what I mean? Buzz Lightyear.
That was a good one.
Star Command. Yeah,
I like that one.
It wasn't Tim Allen. And again, without Disney, no Disney this time. No more.
And then like Tim Allen comes over. I'm in Call of Duty, dude.
Yeah,
I'm in Call of Duty.
Okay. Yeah, the guy that plays
Allen as Buzz Lightyear in Call of Duty.
Actually, probably Fortnite. To be honest with you, he's probably been in Fortnite.
I'd be surprised if they didn't.
I don't want to dip into politics here because Tim Allen annoys me a little bit. I like him in his roles.
You're not a fan of Last Man Standing.
It's not that. It's the fact that he'll pull the political card, and then all of a sudden he's back as Santa Claus, or he's back as Buzz Lightyear in Toy Story. Like he makes a big stink about how they got me for my political beliefs.
Yeah, he loves sleeping in the Disney bed.
Yeah, and he's like, they don't like me. They canceled me because I'm Republican, and then he's back as Buzz Lightyear. I'm like, you sell out.
Okay, but when you're looking at like, I don't know how much he gets paid, but millions and millions of dollars.
Yeah.
It's hard. That's the thing. It's hard to stick to your values.
Yeah.
I mean, kudos to people like, I don't know, does anyone stick to their values anymore?
He didn't stick to his values, though.
No, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
He doesn't, but there are other people who do. Like Gina Carano.
Oh, absolutely.
So,
yeah,
like,
we've already praised her plenty.
Yeah. Can we praise her more?
I know, right? Careful now. The YouTube comments, which we're getting a lot of, we're going to call us simps.
They're vicious. I want to say Chris Pratt to an extent. Probably.
In a way.
Yeah.
I think he pulls a Christianity card when he doesn't want to make a decision.
Yeah.
There was that time James Gunn got fired, and he was like, well, I'm going to pray about it before signing this petition. Everyone else signed it immediately. Dave Bautista's like, bro, screw that. I'm about to just sign the petition.
Yeah, I could see where like...
And he did sign it eventually, but he was like, let me pray about it first. I'm like, come on, dude. Like, he definitely cheated on his wife. Like, I don't want to hear it. I don't need a religious message from you, Chris
No,
Pratt.
let me pray about it before I choose.
Allegedly. And actually, it's just of my own opinion.
Right.
I think there's a little bit of an overlap here. I don't buy the divorce and also married to Arnold Schwarzenegger's daughter. Daughter.
Yeah.
That was just really close. I figured they were talking beforehand.
Sure.
So, anyway, I want to talk about McDonald's.
Okay.
I've been wanting to talk about this for a while.
Cool.
Okay. So originally, before the crazy stuff in California, California was already having some of its issues here. So I got an article here. Okay. Originally, McDonald's back in February 5th. So back in February, McDonald's, like the head honcho, the CEO
of this year.
Yes, I believe. He apologized because Big Macs were $18. Big Mac meals. That. Yeah, and we talked about it. See, the CEO of McDonald's admitted Monday that the sales for the fast food giant have dipped amid increased menu prices that have not gone unnoticed by customers. Okay, so there's a big price hike, right?
Yeah.
So the Chicago-based chain has taken heavy criticism over its Big Mac combo that is priced at nearly $18 among other menu hikes. So that's, that's like a basic meal. The number one is a Big Mac, right?
Right.
And $18.
Sometimes people put away like 2 or 3 of those.
Yeah, I could eat 2 of them. Yeah, especially on a day where I saved on my calories or whatever. Like I down 2 of those things. McDonald's actually isn't as high calorie wise as you'd think. You know what I mean? Like you'd think it'd be like 3,000 calories per burger, but it's really only like 500. Yeah. You know what I mean? So like not bad. That's better than like.
Surprisingly, a lot of burgers are lower than you think. It's usually the fries and the sauce that sends it skyrockets the meal, little calories like the 1,200 or whatever.
Right. And you know what I'll do is I'll just eat 2 Big Macs and then not eat the fries, something like that. And that usually actually kind of works for me. Of course, I start to get a little tingle in my right hand on that second Big Mac. I'm like, oh shoot, today's the day.
Goodbye.
Oh my god. Right. But anyway, I think what you're going to see as you head into 2024 is probably more attention to what I would describe as affordability. Okay. McDonald's CEO Chris Kempczynski said on an earnings call with analysts. Okay. So started off the year, he said, okay, you're right. This does kind of suck. Okay. The $18 meals, that's kind of crazy. We're going to focus on affordability.
Yeah.
Now, how? Oh, he goes on to say, eating at home has become more affordable, which has always been the case.
Yeah.
So I don't want to get on to him too hard for that. It's always been that way. Prices at McDonald's are expected still to increase at a slower pace, restaurant analyst Mark Kalinowski told The Post. Last week, a McDonald's location in Connecticut was criticized after a customer was charged $7.29 for an Egg McMuffin.
Yikes.
Okay. And nearly $5.69 for a side of hash browns. That's insane. And that's in Connecticut. That's not even in California or New York or whatever. Like it's everywhere almost. Like even in Texas, I should have done this beforehand. My bad. I should have bought us a Big Mac and looked at the receipt. I kind of wanted to see what a meal. And I would say just base meal, medium, Big Mac. I should have done that. So my bad, guys. But McDonald's and Chipotle have signaled that prices will have to increase in response to the high labor costs. So like I get it, inflation's a thing. They can't just not do it. Right. They have to like raise prices a bit to compete with labor. People are really pushing for a minimum wage increase. And then, of course, ingredients have gone up. It's not as high as they'd like you to believe it. Yeah. Okay. Like it costs pennies to say you're working at a movie theater and you want to refill the popcorn machine. That's really pennies. Same thing with soda machines. Pennies for these gallons of stuff.
You'd be so shocked if you paid for everything at cost. My gosh.
Yeah. No, absolutely. So in a way, it's misleading. Right. But so let me talk about here. Okay. All right. Sorry, I'm lacking in an article here. I missed an article. My bad. Okay. Monday, like this past Monday, okay. California and all their big, bright ideas decided to overnight, essentially, pass legislation to increase minimum wage to $20 an hour. Okay, just in time for April Fool's Day this past year, April Fool's, Monday, April 1st, legislation in California that passed to increase minimum wage to $20 an hour. That on its own is insane.
Yeah.
Okay. So how do you feel at $20 an hour? Like I'm not a business owner, but my fiance is getting ready to do business, but she's gonna be doing this a lot herself. And we don't live in California. But like, can you imagine Overnight, fast food where everyone, $20 an hour. What do you think?
Okay, so I have a lot of opinions about minimum wage.
Yeah,
there are
sure.
some people who believe that there actually shouldn't be minimum wage at all.
Sure.
And it's actually a detriment to the economy. I don't know if I'm as extreme. Well, because it essentially initiates artificial inflation.
Right.
So if you think about it, if you're going to raise minimum wage, it's not based off of cost of living all the time. Sometimes it's because, well, you want to win a vote or you want to get people on your side. Like, bring minimum wage up because, like, a lot of lower class people think that, like, we need to make more with our minimum wage jobs instead of going for those more higher end or, like management jobs or full-time jobs or college jobs, so they want to be content with the part-time ones. Well, what happens is when you raise the minimum wage to a certain amount, suddenly not everyone can keep up with that.
Absolutely.
If you keep on doing that, the corporations, the big corporations are able to keep up with that, which means it kills small businesses because eventually you're not going to be able to pay for 5 employees anymore. You can barely keep the doors open with 2 employees. And how do you keep a store open with 2 employees? Like legitimately, that is like the number one biggest killer of small businesses is raising the minimum wage.
Absolutely.
Because it's legislated, right? $20 as a minimum wage.
Even the craziest politicians have never asked for that much money.
$20?
Yes, they were like 15.
So also what this does, it's also sort of a deterrent from trying harder and like actually doing well at your job. Because here's the thing. You could work at a part-time job 3 or 4 years and say you started working it for $16.25 and you got to 20.
Yeah.
Well, now in an instant, everyone's making 20.
Yeah.
So technically, you lost your raise.
So the managers that are making 18 whatever an hour now have to go up too.
Yeah.
You know
everyone
what I mean?
does, which means say managers are making 18, part-timers are making 16. Then everyone is being paid the same exact thing. So why would you want to work for a company where you're being paid the same? Like,
exactly.
If you're doing more work, if you have more responsibility, if you put in more time and effort, like that is the silliest thing. Like, here's the thing: there's an argument to be made about minimum wage in some cases. Yeah. Again, I'm not as far extreme to say we need to get rid of it completely because obviously we can't right now. No. But California specifically keeps on doing this. They keep on raising it. Why do you think their economy is doing so bad?
It's so bad.
They keep on raising that freaking minimum wage. That's one of many reasons why it's so bad over there. But like legitimately, because there's not enough small businesses over there. Yeah. That's why it's so costly to live over there. And like you said, it actually doesn't cost the corporations more when the economy dips a little bit. Right. Because cheap things still stay cheap. Like legitimately, it does not cost $16 to make a burger there. No, it does not cost $16. No, like legitimately it
50
is
cents.
Yeah, at most maybe, like legitimately, because they buy that stuff in bulk too. So it's like and again, they're not the place they buy the food from, the materials from, is not susceptible to the economy of California. They're buying it offshores or they're buying it from other states, where the prices are different. So it actually doesn't matter where it is. Yeah. To change the prices, from one state to another state to another state to meet expectations, like that's again, if you want to learn about just like that's like the step one part, surface level of like how to ruin an economy on like the base level, like is to raise minimum wage, inflate artificially, like it kills everything.
Absolutely, it does.
Why do you think so many people are moving away from California?
Yeah, and most businesses weren't paying you the bare minimum wage.
Right.
McDonald's here in Texas, they start off at like 10 an hour, $10.50 an hour. Like, and don't get me wrong, that's not great. Yeah. But McDonald's was never supposed to be your long-term career, my guy.
So it's actually encouraging people to stay in their part-time jobs.
Yeah.
And also it kills off competition because suddenly every company is paying the same. Yeah. So it's not like, oh, I'm going to go over here because they pay more. Yeah. So that means that they're getting less employees. Yeah. Because they were the ones who took the risk from like, okay, so we're going to pay our employees more. We're going to be the ones to pioneer paying our employees $19.25 instead of our competitor, which is $18.25. Yeah. Well, now everyone's 20. So we couldn't afford that before. And now there's, risks that we didn't want.
Exactly. And here's the thing that a lot of people also don't understand is now major corporations are going to have to increase their wages for people. Because a person making $15 an hour at a bigger business now has to make 20. Well, now they got to make now companies have to pay out $35 an hour, which here's what a lot of people that sit behind a keyboard and don't actually know how the world works. There's a difference between what a company should do what a company actually does. And that's what you people who think this way, which I'll get to in a second, don't understand.
Yeah.
Is they think, well, now the big corporations are going to pay these, now they have
Finally
to pay
they have to. It's
and
like
that's not what's going to happen. Here's what's going to happen. The major corporations are going to fire half their staff.
Yep.
And they're going to put those responsibilities on the people that are working really hard, doing a job already of 4 or 5 people. They're not about to pay everybody that $35 or $40 an hour.
Yeah. Also, it's a drop in the bucket. You're not hurting these corporations. We're talking about multi-million-dollar billion-dollar corporations that do not give a crap.
Not at all.
Like legitimately, it doesn't affect them as much as you think it does. No. It's only hurting you in the long run.
Absolutely. They're raising prices for us, and they're cutting the services, and they're firing their staff so they don't have to pay it out. Yeah. They're going to meet those margins. They're going to make those margins no matter what if they have to fire everybody to do it. Yeah. And funnel all the money to the CEOs.
Exactly.
So
and eventually it's going to get to the point where you have literally no choice. Yeah. It makes more sense to go work at McDonald's than to go to college and to get a good paying job because it's easier. It's an entry level. Legitimately, there's less risk involved. And that's what you need to survive.
Quite
because even not to get into the housing crisis in California. And I don't even get the housing crisis in Texas, but California is 3 times worse. Usually, typically 3 times worse.
Absolutely.
The gas prices, everything is just stacked up against you in California. That's why everyone's moving away. But you think that would be enough for them to realize maybe we should pump the brakes a little bit and go backwards, but it doesn't happen. And not to get political, it doesn't happen until the election.
Right. Have you seen the movie Used Cars? And here's what I equate this to. There's the opening scene in Used Cars. I believe it's with Kurt Russell. Yeah. And it's scummy car salesmen that like to screw around and just rip people off. And the opening scene is one of the mechanics going into the car and he's unscrewing underneath the wheel and he's turning. And then the camera pans over to the odometer, and then you hear a squeak, and then the odometer miles start going down, and that's the opening scene of the movie. And that's literally what the people in California thought they're going to do. They're going to take the screwdriver into inflation and be like, and combat inflation by manually raising 20. It was such a stupid idea.
And also, really think about this when all small businesses are gone, because if this keeps going the way it does, if that's the reality. Yeah. You're going to have, as an employee, and someone who wants to be an employee, less choices. Now, say what you want about the free market capitalism, whatever, right? Typically, you have the choice to work for whoever you want.
Absolutely.
You do have the choice to work for whoever you want.
You have the choice to move out of California.
You have the choice to move. That's, what best thing about America is that you have the choice to do whatever you want. If a company has values that you don't agree with, one way or another, you don't have to work for them. Yeah. But what if all small businesses were knocked out and there were only 3 or 4 big mega corporations that you had a choice to work for? Yeah. That doesn't sound like choice to me.
Nope.
And also, what if all those companies simultaneously share the same opinion, share the same values? Legitimately, that's the dark side of free market capitalism that people are always complaining about. Yep. Well, this is the reality. That's how you get there. Yeah. This mega corporation, dystopian society where everything is controlled by one source, by one outlet.
And that's the thing. California is heading toward a really bad depression.
Oh yeah.
I would equate it to the state's version of a Great Depression.
Yeah, oddly enough, that's what it looks like.
Yes, unemployment over there is about to skyrocket because they're not going to pay the same. Small example. They're not going to pay 5 employees $20 an hour. Yeah. They're going to cut that in half. They're going to saw one of them workers in half. They're going to knock it down to 2 employees and the manager. They're not going to hire more people. They're going to fire people. And unemployment is about to skyrocket over there.
Homelessness is already crazy, but
overnight. It's going to be bad.
Double. It's going to be double.
It's going to be awful.
It's terrible.
Yeah. So I'm not excited for them. So apparently this was passed in September of 2023, and some people were bracing for it. Yeah. So McDonald's was trying to combat it by, and other businesses too, were like, we're going to up our prices by 20 cents or so up over time. Yeah. But now people are going to In-N-Out Burger. People are going overnight. They're printing off the menus for the new menus and the new prices. That people are pulling up to In-N-Out Burger, and they're like, oh, why is this $20 now for a meal? You know what I mean? So why would they go and do that now? Why would they go to In-N-Out? Why would they go to fast food? Wendy's, Taco Bell. Why would they go if they can't afford it? Yeah. Because now, for you, if you're paying $20 for a meal and that's base price for a medium, why are you going to do that for your family of 6? Yeah. You know what I mean? People aren't going to stop having kids.
Well, that's the thing, and that's why also looting's really bad over there. So crime is also incredibly high. They try to paint this picture that California is the place to be, right?
No.
Perfect paradise.
Just like a couple pictures of the beach.
So terrible. Like literally train robberies are a thing, like everyday life essentially. You can watch these videos of like these trains being held up by like 20 people and they just take whatever they want. Because I mean, some of them might just be like legitimately like malicious criminals. Some of them might just be trying to survive. Like legitimately that's the wasteland that is California right now, which is a shame, but it's like also they're not doing anything to fix that. They're just making it worse for them. California, the government is making themselves worse for themselves.
Yeah. And so I got a couple articles on people that own McDonald's franchises, and they're talking about how they have to adjust. So a McDonald's franchisee, this comes from New York Post. That's actually New York Post has been on it. They, as far as I can tell, they haven't been super lenient on a political party. I know New York Post probably isn't the most reliable, but they lately, at least with the articles I'm reading, they're hitting some of these heavy stories here, where they're like, "Here, so and so did this stupid thing." You know what I mean? So and it's either side of the political spectrum.
Right.
A McDonald's franchisee who owns 18 restaurants in Northern California said he has been forced to raise menu prices in response to the state's new $20 an hour minimum wage law for fast food workers. Though he will resist raising the prices of Happy Meals. So he can resist it, but he's not going to be able to not do it. You know what I mean? In a way. I think they can, like you said, it doesn't cost that much to make this food that they're pumping out, but they act like, you know. In the last 3 months, Roderick has raised menu prices between 5 and 7% in anticipation of the new law going into effect. That's what I was telling you earlier. As a business owner, when you're dealing with this kind of extraordinary overnight change, you know a 25% increase in wages, no stone has to remain unturned, he told CNN. Roderick said he would refrain from cutting worker hours. Instead, he will seek to expand the delivery operation. So one route he's going to go is like the Uber Eats route where they're delivering it. They charge you so much for that. But I mean, hey, if they click that option instead of rather driving to the drive-thru, he'll have to postpone renovating the dining room and hold off on plans to buy new grills and rooftop HVACs. He's making cuts, so he's cutting back on stuff he wants to do. Renovations, new grills, new stuff that makes employees' lives easier. In the world of McDonald's, human beings make hamburgers, human beings smile at customers in the drive-thru, human beings build Happy Meals, Roderick said. We've relied far more today on technology than ever before. It's not supplanted the importance of human beings in the workplace. I've just been able to relocate where they work within the restaurant. So he's doing technology for making food or cleaning or whatever, but he's just having to move his workers around. Let's see. Internet reports indicate that the range of prices for Happy Meals is between $4 and $8. So if you want to spend money on your kid, it's between $4 to $8. Some locations in wealthy areas, such as Fairfield County, Connecticut, are charging around $18 for a Big Mac meal. Another place charging diners $7.29 for an Egg McMuffin. We went through that. Okay, so that's it on that article. So that's a guy who's trying to do right by his people, but it's not working here.
And okay, just to kind of like go over the idea that someone in the comments is like, well, if people are making more, they can spend more. That's the literally idea of like the inflation we're talking about. Like that's, if it doesn't actually mean they're making more,
right?
It just makes that's what artificial inflation is. It's making it seemingly like you're actually adjusting for the cost of living, cost of food, cost of everything. But if everything's more expensive, then it actually doesn't shift at all. It just gets more expensive. You might be making more, but if things are already that expensive, like, and then again, like you said, people are going to get fired or hours are going to get cut, probably both, which means, okay, this employee makes $20 now. Well, he was working 25 hours a week. Now he'd be working like 10 hours a week, 9 hours a week, 8 hours a week. So literally he or she is not actually making
They're trying to balance it out back to status quo. Which is insane to me. So here's the last article I had on this topic, and this is something I hadn't considered. California's new $20 an hour fast food minimum wage is so good that schools are worried they can't compete for cafeteria workers.
Wow.
So why would you work in a school cafeteria if you can go to McDonald's, like you said, and make $20 an hour? You know what I mean? So lost in the hubbub surrounding California's new $20 an hour minimum wage for fast food workers is how they could how that raise could impact public schools, forcing districts to compete with the likes of McDonald's and Wendy's for cafeteria workers amid a state budget crunch. So I'd have to look into how much schools actually pump out money-wise for admin, for people that work records, principals, teachers, cafeteria workers, all that stuff that janitors. why would you be dealing with all these kids, destroying a bathroom, smearing poop on the walls? Why would you do that when you can go work at McDonald's for more money? So how are they supposed to compete with Wendy's, Taco Bell? How are you supposed to do that?
Yeah.
You know?
And that it's just such a survival mindset place, you know? So like, you're not thinking about pension. You're not thinking about your future. You're not thinking about like, well, I'm going to make less now, but make more later. You're thinking about like, how can I make the quickest way, easiest way possible right now, you know, at a young age, especially right out of high school, you know, that's immediately what you're thinking. So it's like, they're just kind of creating this little paradox, this little turning wheel, you know, just like this self-inflicting wound.
Absolutely.
So that's terrible. Okay. I don't know if they can adjust prices in schools, but that just means like prices of lunches and stuff is going to go up too. So it's like,
well, hold on here. Yet demand for school meals is higher than ever in California, the first state to guarantee free meals for all students.
Huh? Is that so?
All right. Regardless of their income.
Oh, guess what? Guess where that's coming from?
Yes.
So in case anyone doesn't know, when the government says you're going to get free stuff, you're actually paying for it.
Absolutely.
That's a fancy way of saying you're paying for it without realizing it. So their taxes are going to go higher. You're going to go higher. That's nice.
Now, originally, now I had to click on that article. I had no idea that was going on. So California thought, you know what? Everything's just free in school. When classroom kept, the undertaking made possible by an unexpected budget surplus. So here's what okay, good on them for saying, oh, we got a lot of money left over. Well, now we'll just pay for everybody's food.
Yeah.
I like that. That's nice. But look what it's coming. Look what it's doing. You know, like look where it stemmed from.
Right.
You know, like, oh my gosh. So now demand is going up by like no matter what. If your parents come from a wealthy house and you're still in a public school, food's free. Yep. So where they're cutting off where they could be making money and just expecting that money to come out of somewhere.
Right.
So meals are free in California schools in the state education system, right? But already these jobs typically have lots of turnover and are harder to fill. The minimum wage boost for fast food workers will make that even more difficult. So people are already quitting their jobs working in a school bathroom, working in a school cafeteria. That's a hard job to keep people anyway because it's a thankless job. Your pay's crap, and you're dealing with all these kids that want to throw stuff and be crazy. And now that they're not getting paid anything, they can go work at McDonald's, like you said, you know, if they can get a job there because now they're only hiring 2 people instead of 5 to 10, you know, whatever. Yeah. So
it's just lose for everyone except corporations who don't actually lose that much at all.
Yeah. So everyone's worried about it. Most are saying they anticipate it'll be harder and harder to hire employees.
Like even if like half the McDonald's in California closes, that doesn't actually mean they lose a whole lot. There's again, because you would not believe how many freaking McDonald's there are out there. Yeah. It's one of the biggest corporations in the world just by range of restaurants alone. I think they actually have the most amount of restaurants in the world. Like by comparison, it's just like it's not doing what you think it's doing, which is just sad.
It's terrible.
People just like thinking they can't see 2 feet in front of them. You know, they're always like, "What's right in front of me? What can I grab right now, right here?"
I'm just like, who's doing this? Like, whose bright idea is this? Like I said, like if they manually raised it to $15 an hour minimum wage, that's still bad. Yeah. But at the same time, like I was like, okay, that's what they've been asking for years. Somebody in their bright ideas was like $20 an hour.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Do more.
So
might as well just make it 30 at this point. Like legitimately, like what's stopping them?
Yeah. And so with all this McDonald's talk, I wanted to go back and research a topic just a little bit. We got 10 minutes left in this episode. Yeah. I wanted to talk a little bit about the original founding of McDonald's. Okay, are you familiar? You've seen the movie The Founder, right?
I have watched Michael Keaton. I don't know how close to it is, but
very close.
Oh, cool.
I will say
I do like that movie a lot.
There was one thing though that I disagreed with. So they really made Ray Kroc, Michael Keaton's character, the main guy,
like a villain.
They really made him the villain.
Yeah.
Because the actual story on that, while the movie did stick to a lot of it, they did have to leave a lot out.
Yeah.
And naturally, but the stuff they left out really played up the drama and really made Ray Kroc like, oh, this dude's a bad dude. You know what I mean? Like he ripped him off, he screwed him over. And that's not quite the case. Yes, he did screw them out of a handshake deal. The very end of the movie where he said, hey, we'll get you your percentage, but you know, they won't put it on paper. We need you to blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
That did happen. And the scene where he told them like, you know, or he told the main guy in the bathroom, he was like, the reason I took the restaurant was because of the name. And the name is like McDonald's. Like, dude, Croc, nobody would have gone to a restaurant called Croc's Burgers, you know? That's true too. I don't think there was I don't think that conversation actually happened, but that was what he said. But what the movie leaves out is how shady the brothers were.
Really?
So they had a lot of deals with him where they did the same thing, where they were like, so that first deal that they did, he thought he was buying the original building too, the original restaurant. And they said, yeah, it's in the contract. So they signed it, and it turns out they kept the original restaurant, which he wanted too, and he thought it was in the contract, but they left it out and they didn't tell him, and he signed it. So they did a lot of stuff too that was very shady, underhanded. But my biggest thing that the movie didn't focus on, that they really kind of left out, was how little the brothers saw the potential in a franchise. Now, in real life, they had more than one location. He didn't just come in and steal the name and then open up all the franchises. They actually had like 20 plus stores in the area.
Oh, wow.
But he wanted to take it global, essentially, because like there's McDonald's in other countries, there's McDonald's in other states. They didn't want to do that. Now, there was a guy before the movie played it off as like, yeah, we had a franchisee beforehand, but he died. Right? I'm sorry, no, he didn't die. It just didn't work out. In real life, the guy that they had died, and so he came in and he saw the potential and he wanted to do all this stuff. And the brothers were actually that this was in the movie. They're like, oh, we're against it. We don't like this idea. We don't want you to change the formula. They were hindering a lot of growth, and he saw the potential in like this can be way bigger than 20 restaurants. They didn't really focus on that. He saw the bigger picture. He was like, this could be a global food chain that could really, be worth trillions or billions of dollars, right? And so when it came to the deal where they all shook hands and then he screwed him out, that did happen. But it was more so in retaliation to a lot of the stuff they did that was underhanded. You know what I mean? They really made it like they were the successful brothers, and they did a lot of stuff they said they did, where they had the Sonic type location, but then they didn't like that, so they closed it and restructured. That did happen, and they put a lot of elbow grease into starting that McDonald's and opening those franchises. That was a real thing, but at the same time, they were missing the bigger picture. Which I go to McDonald's all the time. I watched that movie and I was like, I still love McDonald's, even if Ray Kroc is a shady guy that ripped everybody off. Like he made a good decision in the end overall.
I mean, like, it's odd that movie was even made, because if what you say is true, like the fact that actually like sort of plays both sides instead of just one sided.
Right.
I always wondered like why because again, McDonald's was behind that movie, right?
I don't know.
I don't know if they like, were blatantly like, they don't think they created the movie, but they had to have like signed off on it, right? To let everyone know like how shady their founder was. Like, that's a interesting move, right?
And he took all the credit for founding McDonald's too. Yeah, that was a real thing.
Now the thing is though, even if they made him look like really, really stinky, you're still going to go to McDonald's right after that.
Absolutely. And it's
actually brilliant.
But I did look into it too, and I was like, was it really as bad as the movie said? And yes, but also no.
Interesting.
I think in the end, he made the right decision. Does it suck that they didn't get royalties at the end? Sure. Yeah. Like, I think he should have still been the nice guy through it all, and he still should have played it to his strengths. But they did a lot to hinder what he was doing too.
So you think it was malicious, like he tried to hurt him, or he just was greedy?
Let me look. So it's in this article I pulled up. So there was a lot of stuff too. The movie did good. So his in the movie, he's married originally to what's her name from Jurassic Park, Laura Dern, and that was a real thing. Like, the business deteriorated the marriage, and he divorced her. But it's really speculated that his life was actually kind of falling apart before that. The other thing too, where he met his current wife when he was the founder of McDonald's and the CEO and in charge. The woman he was married to, he did meet her while she was playing the piano, and he met the other business owner to help expand. Like, yeah, he did jack that dude's wife. That was a real thing.
Wow.
So let's see. Did Ray Kroc renege on his, or is it renege? I don't know. On his handshake deal to pay the McDonald's brothers for a percentage of the revenue? Yes. After the brothers refused to give Kroc the original restaurant, he supposedly cheated the brothers out of 0.5% royalty agreement they had been getting, which would have been valued at $15 million a year by 1977 and $305 million a year by 2012. In his book, Kroc wrote, if the brothers had played their cards right, that 0.5% could have made them unbelievably wealthy. Let's see. Yeah. Did Ray Kroc deal to buy the brothers really not include the original McDonald's restaurant in San Bernardino? Yes, Kroc wasn't aware that the agreement excluded the original restaurant, but the McDonald's brothers insisted it did. He became furious, and since he now owned the rights to the McDonald's name, he forced Dick and Mac McDonald to rename the restaurant. So he didn't get the building, but they lost the rights to the name, so that's when they renamed it. They kept that out of the movie. They renamed it to the Big M. Kroc then opened a brand new McDonald's a block away, and after 6 years, it put the Big M out of business. So the movie made it look like he was like happy to screw them over, and they had to rename it, and they failed. Like, yes, that all did happen.
They were trying to,
but they were they weren't so clean themselves. Let me see. There was one more thing that was interesting. Was Ray Kroc really doing all the franchising work while the McDonald's brothers sat back and collected the profits? Yes. Ray was so eager to see the restaurant expand, he had made a hasty deal with the brothers. As Ray sold the franchises, the brothers made a lot of money for doing nothing. Like in the Founder movie, Ray met Harry Sunborn, played by B.J. Novak, the guy from The Office, a financial expert who showed them another way of making money off the deal that would not involve selling hamburgers. It involved creating a real estate company that would buy up or lease the land on which all McDonald's would be located. Then franchisees would pay Kroc a monthly rental fee for the land. So blah, 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 blah. At the end, he kind of turned it into a real estate thing.
Yeah.
So really cool, but he also had a problem with he's doing all the work making this global, and they're just like sitting back and collecting money.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure to this day, McDonald's actually has the most real estate of any corporation.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
It's crazy.
Mm-hmm. So I fault the brothers, not just for the shady stuff, but they were really not seeing the bigger picture. Yeah. I don't remember what state it was that had it, but think about, let's see, wherever state that was. I was trying to see if it was in this article real quick. I didn't want to have to drive to that state to get a McDonald's burger. I'd probably never heard of it because it'd be a local town chain or a local state chain, something like that. Maybe they would have expanded as CEOs passed on. But Ray Kroc really saw the potential here for something more.
Because in the movie, it depicts like it wasn't just the food, it was the experience that was like the biggest selling point.
And in the movie, it was just that one that he bought and turned into the McDonald's. True, but they scaled it down so they didn't have to do all the traveling and change the dialogue. But the McDonald's brothers really missed the bigger picture. And I really... Yes, Ray Kroc did screw them over, but they didn't really focus on why. I think they could have done that more, but it played for the drama. Like, he's a scumbag, and he's happy to run people out of business. But it was like they're missing the bigger picture, but they're also hindering the growth. But when he does finally make these milestone progression stuff that he's trying to do, and he's not profiting off of it directly, they're collecting a big chunk of it just by having the name. I get why he ended up cutting them out. Yeah. And back then, it was a lot easier to do now. Nowadays, people can snap a picture of a contract and post it on TikTok. But look how much I got screwed. That's what Pink Sauce Lady's doing. You know what I mean? So,
do you think? What do you think he would say if he saw that minimum wage was turned up?
Oh
to
my
20?
gosh, I think he would pass away.
Yeah. He came back just to pass away.
If he wasn't dead before, he is now.
Oh, so crazy.
Good movie. Still a very good movie.
I don't think Michael Keaton has ever, besides Batman, not played a scumbag.
Yeah, for sure. Anything post Batman, Michael Keaton's a jerk in all his films, except for Spider-Man. So, interesting discussion. I just had an opinion on that movie, and I think someone brought it up before saying you should talk about it. That's my opinion on it. Good. But they left out a lot of stuff that I thought was really important, honestly. If this was, think about someone, we could be hemorrhaging money off the podcast or the brand name or something, and we're just sitting here like, yeah, we just make all our videos private, and somebody wants to buy the logo or something. And I don't know, like if we're missing the potential.
If someone makes it, imagine, put yourself in those shoes. Like imagine like someone buys the logo and then somehow make it like a multi-million-dollar global, foundation. And you're like, wow, I feel like I'm entitled to that a little bit. So
the last thing, too, is think about YouTube brands like Fred Figglehorn. Remember Fred from, 2007 or something, 9? Yeah. People bought his channel because he was kind of done making movies off of, I'm sorry, not movies, videos, and he has his own channel now. But people were like, we want to buy the name. And they did. And they ran it into the ground. So it doesn't always work out.
Yeah, they had
So
a whole bunch of kids run the
the channel died. Same thing with, shoot, I almost said iCarly. No. What was the other one? Shoot. Smosh. So recently the guys that run Smosh bought it back because they had a big company overlord and they also ran it into the ground.
They got screwed over bad.
So yeah, and there's mixed opinions on how much that company actually helped them as opposed to hinder them. Because there was a time where they didn't have the company bothering them and their quality in videos dipped. So I think that corporation had some good ideas too.
Rooster Teeth had a similar issue, didn't they?
Who?
Rooster Teeth.
Oh, yeah.
Because they just recently closed.
You know more about that than I do then.
Not entirely, but I'm pretty sure like they had some sort of dealings with like Machinima, and we all know the story about Machinima, right?
So it doesn't always work out. Sometimes these overlords will buy it and run it to the ground. But other times...
Actually, it's funny, real quick, with you saying that Machinima, the way they would do business essentially is that they got a whole bunch of like smaller creators and partnered with them and got the creators to do, you know, like the hard work for them, but they would like force them to work like ungodly amount of hours and only give them a little bit of money. But the thing is, though, those small creators, they were just getting money and they were being happy with just getting money. But in the reality, Machinima was getting all this profit, and they didn't realize that the contracts that they basically had them sign from the very beginning was screwing them over. They didn't realize it because they were all small YouTubers at the end. Now everyone knows better because you know you can make some serious money on YouTube. Back then, same thing. Machinima saw the potential of just franchising YouTube. They were probably one of the biggest first franchisers of YouTube. No one really thought it would take off. But then everyone was using Machinima. Everyone was Machinima. It's like they kept on buying more and more and more partners and signing these little contracts that cost them virtually nothing and just sucking all the life out of everyone. So that's why there was like a big push to get all the videos. Oh, also when Machinima went out of business, they privated all the videos. So even the people who created the videos couldn't get them back.
Exactly.
And I think Moist Critical was like, oh, I just want to buy Machinima and like so I can unprivate all the videos. I'm like, that's pretty cool. But
that'd be cool. You could do it too. You got money.
Dude, just like when those big brain, big egg dudes, you know, they're just like, oh, I see the potential.
Yeah.
Watch out.
Yeah, absolutely.
Do your research.
All right. I think that's all we got time for today. I'm looking forward to next week's discussion as well. I'm excited. I'm glad we got to get back in the studio and start recording. Working on some at night episodes. It's going to take me a minute. I might miss this week deadline wise. Sorry, guys, but it is what it is. But we will get back to it as soon as I get a stand in for Darcy in the meantime. So thanks for joining us this week on the Third Wheel Podcast. We will see you guys next time. Bye.
Bye-bye.